This episode of Fertile Talks is sponsored by ilmeds.co, an international mail order pharmacy specializing in fertility medications. If you're looking to save significantly on your fertility treatments without compromising on quality, ilmeds.co is an excellent choice, offering up to 80% of retail prices. And as a special offer to our listeners, use the code FT24 at checkout to receive a $50 discount on your order. For your convenience, you can find a link to their website in the episode show notes. Thank you, and let's get started. Welcome to Fertile Talks, the global podcast celebrating the diversity of fertility journeys. I'm your host, Dr. Yemi Famuyima. Whether you're just starting or simply curious, this is your safe space. In each episode, we will bring you expert insights, heartfelt personal stories, and the latest in reproductive health. Our goal is to break down barriers, tackle stigma, and provide support and hope. So, whether you're in the Americas, Africa, or Asia, Fertile Talks is your companion on the path to parenthood. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Fertile Talks.
Today, we welcome back Yemi Famuyima. She is a fertility specialist and founder of the Montgomery Fertility Center. Today's Kevin MD article is, Are e-cigarettes harming your reproductive health? Yemi, welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So today we're going to talk about e-cigarettes. So tell
Right.
us the
Mhm.
events that led you to write this article and then go into the article itself for those who didn't get a chance to read it.
Right. So I think I had a patient that came to my office and I asked her, "Do you smoke?" She goes, "No, I don't smoke. I don't touch those things, but I vape." I'm like, "Oh, and how much do you vape?" "Every single day, sometimes twice or two, 3 times." "I see. And how long have you been vaping?" "Oh, 8 years, and it's supposed to be harmless." I'm like, "Oh, we have a problem." So it was out of what I saw was a clear misunderstanding of what vaping is and trying to enlighten my patient that led me to bring this up.
All right. So tell us some of the misperceptions or misconceptions about vaping and how people may not know that it can affect their reproductive health.
Mhm. Yeah. So one of the things that people don't realize is they think, "Oh, it's vaping, it's not cigarettes, I'm fine." Come to find out, some of those e-cigarettes actually contain higher amounts of nicotine than a regular cigarette does.
Mhm.
So they can be quite addictive on their own. Another issue is that people have no idea that there are certain chemicals released in the vapor and the fumes that, especially what we call phthalates, sometimes PFAs, that can act as endocrine disruptors, can affect your body's ability for the brain to properly control your gonads, your ovary, or your testes. It can disrupt that fine balance, that orchestra going on, can put a little miscord in there so you can disrupt your hormone production, and that can affect your fertility. And then the other misconception is, and I didn't even know this until I started reading more about it, there are heavy metals being released in those formulations, and those metals can be toxic, and some of them have been shown to be carcinogenic even. Who knew? Lead, nickel released in when you hit that chamber up and you spark it and ignite it, you also release additional stuff that is not even in cigarettes, right? I mean, you don't find heavy metals in cigarettes. Not that I think cigarettes are good for you.
Yeah. And as far as you know, are there any studies that have shown a clear connection between e-cigarettes specifically and reproductive health?
So I think that there are ongoing studies on the direct effect because most of this is new. And but there are indirect studies looking at animals where you give high dose of certain components found in e-cigarettes that have found to be either disruptive or carcinogenic
Mhm.
or even toxic. right? So you can, I think as more studies are being done, we can extrapolate because it all starts from animal studies, and then you extrapolate into humans some of these bad effects.
And the effects on the reproductive system aren't limited to females. It can also affect reproductive health in men as well.
Yes, absolutely. So it's not just the ovaries that we should focus on. So if you disrupt what we call the HP G axis, right? For G for gonads, not just HPO, meaning hypothalamic pituitary ovarian axis, where you have the hypothalamic pituitary testis
Mhm.
axis. So just as you disrupt the axis going to the ovary, you can also disrupt the axis going on with the sperm. So I'll have gentlemen, and I see it every single day, Kevin. I just had another patient yesterday who tell me they vape, oh, 2 to 3 times a day, and they've been doing it for over 5, 8, 10 years in some cases. And I'm struggling with why can't I get better sperm from this gentleman?
Mhm.
What's going on here? So I believe that there is some effect on the sperm, and also the heavy metals cannot be even salubrious for spermatogenesis, formation of the sperm. So I think it affects both women and men.
And in terms of your conversations with these
Mm,
patients, when you make
mm,
that connection between reproductive health and
yes,
e-cigarettes,
right.
what do you recommend in terms of stopping? Because as you know, nicotine highly addictive, and if they could stop, many would. What kind of advice do you share with these patients?
So therein lies the difficulty. I think that they can turn to probably addiction experts to help them. They can turn to therapy to help them, or try to substitute. So I try to work with some holistic nutritionist or coaches in this regard that may help them substitute something healthier. Now, I tell you, Kevin, let me tell you, I have some patients who swore that they would never give up anything like that. They just can't. It's you
Hmm.
just don't understand me. You just don't get it. And then something catastrophic happens, and boom, they stop cold turkey. So
Hmm.
I don't want something bad to happen before they have to stop cold turkey. But I think that if they make a concerted effort and maybe seek coaching help, they may be able to slowly dial it down and try to get over it.
When you talk about the risks of e-cigarettes, sometimes you don't often hear its association with reproductive health. So, how would you better inform the public about the reproductive health risk of e-cigarettes?
So I think that if we could maybe just show patients what's in some of these formulations, and having them understand what this could, maybe just teaching them better and understanding what these things are and what it can do for the body. Because I think that if they get an understanding what's going on, they may make better choices than what they're doing right now.
And in terms of brands of e-cigarettes,
Yes.
are they uniformly potentially have impurities in them? Are there some brands that may be better than others? Is there
So,
any type of regulation that they
mhm.
should look out for?
Yeah, I think one of the most dangerous ones are the ones that have flavoring in them.
Yeah.
They have chewing gum flavor, they have strawberry flavor. I guess they do the flavoring to attract more of an audience and also even attract children. But the more flavor that they have, the more toxic the flavors can be.
Mm.
Because what gives off the flavor, like the phthalates, can actually be more dangerous than the plain ones. So the more flavoring it has, the more has been shown to be more detrimental to patients.
Now, tell us the type of ongoing studies you think that you say are going on in terms of better connecting the toxicity of e-cigarettes specifically with reproduction.
So I think not specifically with reproduction. I think that a lot of the studies that are coming on is mostly what is the detrimental effects of e-cigarettes per se. So I think that now they're starting to look into the effect of it on fertility. There's not a whole lot on fertility yet, but there is a lot coming out in terms of overall health. But when you look at the individual, for instance, if you look at the individual mechanism of action, if something affects your gonadotropin axis, then it's going to affect your fertility, whether or not specific studies have come out to answer specific questions per se.
And from a biochemical standpoint, are these effects reversible? If people stopped with e-cigarettes, is the damage irreversible?
I think that some of the damage can be reversible as it wears off in patients. So I think that it's never too late to stop. I think you can stop, and the body's ability to heal itself is really dramatic. So if the body can heal itself, you can give it a go.
Now, what do you tell patients who are smokers and they
Mm.
want to quit smoking
Yes.
and they want to turn to e-cigarettes as a substitute or as a stepwise intervention to help quit smoking? So, obviously, smoking affects reproductive health. E-cigarettes affects reproductive health. What do you advise
Correct.
those patients who want to quit smoking but may not be able to do so cold turkey and may sometimes turn to e-cigarettes as a stepwise next intervention?
So I think that, trying to get a coach to help will be very, very beneficial. I'm not so sure that e-cigarettes can help you get off cigarettes per se,
Mm-hmm.
because you find that the contents of the e-cigarettes are even more addictive than regular cigarettes. So I don't think e-cigarettes are a way to wean yourself off cigarettes. You can try everything else you want, but e-cigarettes deliver a lot of nicotine, way more nicotine than you
Mm.
have in cigarettes.
So, what do you anticipate as the next steps? You want to get the awareness out. So, tell us the next steps you would like to see when it comes to reproductive health and e-cigarettes.
I think that I would like to see more advocacy to say, how can we get the noise out in the general population, let people know how dangerous this can be for fertility. And we all complain about fertility declining. So I think just having the advocacy, having the message out there, and if the health department wants to start making legislation about it, that would be fine. But I don't see government really taking a strong stride in
Mm.
it right now. I think the more individuals, the more patients are aware and talking about it, eventually the government is going to catch on that they need to make some regulation about it.
We're talking to Yemi Famuyima. She's a fertility specialist and founder of the Montgomery Fertility Center. Today, we're
Yes,
talking about how e-cigarettes may be harming your reproductive health. Yemi,
yes.
as always, will end with your take-home messages that you want to leave with the Kevin MD audience.
So take home message, e-cigarettes can be very harmful to your fertility, and they actually contain more toxins than you're aware of. So buyer beware, make yourself alert so that you know what you're dealing with. I mean, the thought of that may start to deter some patients. And if that deters you, that's even better. Thank you for tuning in to Fertile Talks. We hope today's episode has provided you with valuable insights and support for your fertility journey. Remember, you are not alone. Now, if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, please simply leave us a comment. And please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with a friend. Your ratings, your shares, and your reviews are greatly appreciated and is going to help us serve more of our listening audience. Thank you once again. This is Dr. Famuyima.